nerdy talents to help others.
Now we're on. Now we're live.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Again. Welcome to our stream tonight. We've got some exciting cooking planned for you. What?
Your other one.
I know.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
We are. Just let me do my intro, Steve. Thank you. Cameraman's getting bossy here tonight. We are Otherworldly Fundraising, and that's a group of nerds who decided to use our nerdy talents to help others. So every year we do a virtual Comic-Con, if you will, where we interview celebrities and have chats about nerdy things and raise money for a different charity. This year, we are raising money for Option Save Lives, which is a group that helps people who are recovering from alcohol dependence. And I know that strikes close to home for almost everyone. I think everyone knows someone or knows someone adjacent who has struggled with alcohol dependence at some point in their lives. So this is something near and dear to my own heart because alcohol dependence does run in my family. So I'm super excited for this charity. And our weekend this year is the last weekend in September. So it's September 26th through the 28th. And we have some very exciting guests planned for you. I can't say anything yet because we haven't made the official announcements, but I am super excited. And so tonight we're making ramen, as I was saying earlier, before my bossy cameraman interrupted me, who is, if you don't know, is my spouse, Steven. So I guess he's allowed. And we're also going to be talking about some of our favorite Studio Ghibli movies and how food plays a large part in, the roles that food plays in those movies as well. Steph, do you want to introduce yourself? Tell everybody who you are.
She's not on camera.
She's not on camera?
Yes.
There she is.
Hi, I'm Steph, and I'm a freelance blogger in the book and wedding industries. I'm also a producer here at Otherworldly Fundraising.
Yeah, Steph is going to be helping us tonight because I won't be able to see any of your comments or questions as I'm cooking. So she's going to very nicely read those out loud for me so that I know what you're saying and can respond appropriately. And I am Bexx, sometimes also known as Bookish Bexx. I am the kitchen witch from Kitchen Witch's Kitchen and Bexx from Bookish Bexx and the Cats. So we're going to get started with ramen. One of my favorite Studio Ghibli movies is Ponyo. And if you have not seen it, there is a scene in that movie where the fish-turned little girl, they eat ramen. And that scene has always made me want ramen. But I'm gluten-free. I have celiac disease. So I can't just go to the restaurants and buy ramen because the soy sauce has gluten that's always in the broth. The noodles always have gluten. And it could be cross-contaminated even if they have the rice noodles. So it's super scary for me. So I finally developed my own recipe to make my own ramen at home. Growing up, I don't know if you're the same as me, Steph. We always had those top ramen packets. Did you guys have those with the seasoning packet? Yeah. When I was a kid, it was before I was gluten free. I loved those. I would house one of those in 30 seconds straight. It was amazing. I loved them so much. I think the beef one was my favorite flavor. All right. So we're going to start by just getting some stuff ready to go. So I have some green onions here, which always make me think of my Nana's house because at Nana's, she would take the green onions and clean them and set them in a jar with just a little bit of water in it on the dinner table at almost every meal. And our family we would just eat them. So I still always save out the nicest one to eat myself, just to eat it. I'm not going to chomp that one up. So we're gonna, oops, look, I missed the little tails on this guy. We're gonna cut off these root ends, which are the little hairy ends. And I have a dish here just for all the garbage. And anything that looks like the end of that was like a little raggedy, kind of gross looking. You're gonna peel off. Some of them have like this little skin here. This little outer skin, just like, it's an onion, so they always have that little skin. So we're just gonna peel that off. That wouldn't feel so great if you got it in your mouth when you were eating it. That one was particularly gross on the little thing. And this one's just got a little gross spot on it. I'm gonna give all the ends just a little trim. Grandma used to trim them so they were like all the same length, my Nana, but I don't think we really need to do that. I'm gonna give them a quick wash, just a quick rinse. That way, if there's anything gross on them, it'll be gone. Any dirt that's lingering, and they do grow in the dirt, so. All right. Oh, I lost the one I saved. Which one was it? I think it was this one. Now, at Nana's, we always ate it with a little bit of salt. So, put just a little salt in my hand, and you dip it, and you crunch it. It tastes like summer. I'm gonna make you watch me eat this whole thing.
Cheddar said that's very cool about the onion tradition.
Thank you. All right, now we're gonna separate out the more white solid parts of our green onions from the green parts because we're gonna cook them separate. We're actually not even gonna cook the greens, so I'm gonna cut them right about here where the whites the whites are super solid. So we want those solid parts we're gonna cook. These not so solid parts, we're just gonna cut up and set aside for topping later. It's not even gonna get cooked. It's just gonna go on top of our bowls of ramen. So we're gonna set that over here. Now the whites, we're gonna cut up kind of small. We don't want them to be huge because otherwise it's gonna be a big bite of onion in your mouth when you get it. My knife skills are terrible. Don't come at me. I wanted to be a chef, but didn't get the opportunity to do that. So this is what I do instead. I cook for my family. All right, so now we have our onion all cut up. We're gonna start with onion, garlic, and ginger in our pot as our base to make our broth. So to fry up our vegetables, we're gonna start with some sesame oil. I don't measure things very much, so we want to coat the bottom of the pan. I'd say it's about 2 tablespoons. We're gonna let that get nice and hot, but not too hot. Don't burn it. Now I am gonna use, because what we're trying to do is a dinner that you can make quickly for your family on a weeknight. I'm not using fresh ginger. I'm being lazy. I'm using frozen crushed ginger, which is individual in these cubes. And you just pop them out. I'm gonna put it it's all gonna go in at the same time, so I'm just gonna go ahead and stick it in the ramekin with my white parts, the lighter colored parts of my onion. I'm going to do 2 cubes. If you're using fresh ginger, use less. It'll be way more potent and way stronger. I'm going to put that back in the freezer real quick. We're also going to add some garlic to that. Yes, I use garlic. No judgment here. Just use what you have. I'm going to do about 2 heaping spoonfuls. Probably about 3, 4, maybe 5 cloves, depending on how big your garlic cloves are. Again, this is going to have less flavor than if you were using fresh. So you keep that in mind when you're cooking. And you know your family. You know what they like. If they like a lot of garlic, add a lot of garlic. If they don't really care for it, then don't use it. All right, so we're watching for our oil. It's starting to smell very fragrant. Sesame oil has its own unique smell. Always reminds me of lo mein, how lo mein smells when you go into a Chinese restaurant. We just want it to be hot because if you add your veggies to the pot in the oil before it's hot enough, they get soggy. They're gonna absorb the oil, and we don't want soggy vegetables. That would be nasty. The wind is blowing. It's making the flame flicker. We've been under a heat wave this week, so super hot. We don't have air conditioning, so it's super hot in the kitchen. I have all the windows open, and there is a nice breeze, but it's making the flame flicker under the pot. When we add our vegetables, we want the oil to crackle. That's what we want. So we're waiting for it. It should be real shiny. That's how you know it's getting hot. It's not quite there yet. There'll be almost like a shimmer on top of it when it's hot enough. In all of the Studio Ghibli movies, food is what brings people together. Like in Ponyo, when they're eating their ramen, it's when little Ponyo comes back as a little girl, and she and Satsuki are eating the ramen. They're both little kids, like 5 years old about, and they're eating the ramen together. And it's like a bonding thing. It brings people together. And I think that's one of my favorite things about food in general. It's also one of my favorite things about the Studio Ghibli movies because they're kids animated movies, and in a lot of ways they are about bringing people together and making friends and found family. I love the found family trope from movies and books. Like in a lot of fantasy novels, you have the found family where you make friends with the people that you find, and then they become more than friends and they become your family. That's my favorite. All right, this is ready now. I can tell because sesame oil does have a little bit of sediment in it, and that was starting to move around all by itself. So this should kind of go psh when we dump it in. Now that ginger was frozen, so that's going to take a minute to melt down. I'm going to lower the temperature on the pot a little bit. I had it turned way up to get the oil hot. I'm turning it down to about a medium temperature. Try not to stir too much. I am a chronic stirrer. I like to stir things, but then they don't cook as fast. Our carrots are going to go in next. I just want those to cook and the ginger to melt down a little bit first. And then I have matchstick carrots. Again, I bought them already sliced up. No judgment. If I were to try to cut a carrot into pieces this small, I would end up cutting off all my fingers probably. So it's just easier for me to buy them already chopped up. You can use bigger pieces of carrots if you want to, or leave them out altogether if your family doesn't like carrots. But I promise you, I don't like carrots. They disappear into the broth. You're really not going to know it's there.
Trevor says the food is drawn in such a very detailed way.
It is. It is so detailed. I was watching Ponyo this afternoon because ramen. And I'm even doing ham on our ramen tonight because of Ponyo. And yeah, it is so detailed. You can see like the curliness of the noodles because traditionally, you know, the ramen noodles are like very curly, like wavy. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. And the steam coming off. The food always makes me hungry. Of course, I love food. Love food. All right. Ginger appears to be mostly melted down. Smells really good in there. We're going to let that cook just a little more before we add our carrots. I want the onions to kind of get soft before I put anything else in there. I love the sizzling sounds it makes in Howl's Moving Castle when Sophie is cooking the eggs in the frying pan on calcifer. It makes a very satisfying sizzle sound. So does the bacon. Bacon. I love bacon. And again, in Howl's Moving Castle, when they all have breakfast together, that first day that Sophie is there, when Howl comes home and finds her in his castle, that again, that's bonding. That's bringing them all together. She and Howl basically cooked the breakfast together. She had started it, and then he came home and found her there, and they finished cooking it and ate it together. It's always a bonding moment for our main characters. Okay, we're almost ready. These little ones weren't in the oil quite enough. Again, it's not super important. We're gonna cook it in the broth for a little while anyway, so it's all gonna get cooked. It won't be crunchy. All right, for our carrots, I don't measure this either, so I'm just gonna add in a generous handful and a little bit because that didn't quite look like enough to me. Stir it in to get the oil. If you want it to be coated in oil. Scrape down the sides of the pot so everything's in the bottom where it's hot. We're using a big size Dutch oven because we're going to add in so much broth. Ramen is all about the broth. It's basically noodles and broth, so we want a good broth. We can go ahead and we're going to add in the zucchini later. We're going to do our bok choy next. So I did get petite or baby bok choys. I love bok choy. It has a flavor more like spinach, a very earthy flavor. But at my grocery store, it's cheaper to buy than spinach. So we're going to rinse it off to get any dirt off that might be on it still, any germies. I have it in a colander in a bowl, so I can go ahead and fill that up and swish it around. Also, I think they're so cute. They're just super cute, these little baby bok choy. The big ones are like huge, but these little baby ones are adorable. Be gentle. You don't want to break their leaves off.
Trevor asks, are you adding an egg?
I will be adding some soft-boiled eggs. Yes, of course. You can't have ramen without egg, in my opinion. All right. The bok choy is super easy to cut. We're going to take one full baby bok choy, and we're going to slice it in half lengthwise. And then flip them over so the flat side is down. Slice it again. You eat the whole thing. Slice it in half lengthwise, flip them over, flat side down, slice them again. If any of the leaves are, have like a weird discolorment or just look gross, cut them off. It doesn't happen very often at my store, but it can with any leafy green vegetables. And just like spinach or kale, it's gonna cook down and be way less than you think it was gonna be. It's like how when you cook a whole bag of spinach and it ends up being one serving. I love leafy greens. I had to cook Steve into liking his leafy greens. He's still not a huge fan of kale or spinach. This guy was smaller, so I'm only going to cut him in half so he's about the same size as the others. This one too. We want all of our pieces to be about the same size. Whoops. Well, he's going to get cut in thirds then. He rolled when I was trying to cut him. So this bottom part, the root end is harder than the leafy end, of course. So that's going to take longer to cook. That's why we want to make sure that root end is about the same for all of them so that it all cooks at about the same rate. Then I'll just wipe this off into my sink because it's drippy and I don't want it to drip on the floor. This is going back in the sink. I'm going to use that colander later when we're draining our noodles. I made a mess. Oops. Made a mess on the kitchen island here from the water. There's a cat right behind you, Steve. Don't step on her. The cats love to be in the kitchen when I'm doing stuff. Oh, our floor's dirty.
Starry night. Starry night.
She's so cute. She joins me on a lot of my video game streams on Twitch, too. I have a cat cam
Trevor
just
asked,
for her.
Trevor asked, did you know about ramen before watching the cartoons?
Only about ramen as only top ramen, like the packets. That's the only way. That's what I thought ramen was until I saw Ponyo. And then I realized it was way more than top ramen. And I started researching it and Japanese culture because I'm like obsessed now. But I love ramen so much now. It's one of my favorite things to make. I make it all the time with different toppings. It's an easy weeknight dinner that I can just throw together in 30 minutes or less. And Steve's happy. I'm happy. It's not great on the hot summer days, but it's great on the cooler days. And I wonder how many people like me are out there who thought or still think until now that top ramen is what ramen is. Steve, did you know that ramen was anything other than top ramen?
No. And I know when I told Kristen at work that this was a while ago that you were making ramen, she was just like, "Oh, that's nice," and I was like, "It's not just the packets." And she's like, "Oh," and I explained a little bit.
Oh, that's a lazy dinner. All right, our carrots are getting cooked down. You can see they're not hard anymore. They're starting to get kind of bendy and squishy. So that's good. So the next thing that we're going to add in now is our bok choy. We're going to go ahead and throw that in. Now this cooks fairly quickly, like spinach. The whites take a little bit longer, like that root end. We're going to go ahead and gently toss it. Oops, something fell out of the pot. I'm sorry, did it hit your foot?
No.
I'm a very messy cook. Stuff goes everywhere. And Steve does most of my dishes for me because I hate washing dishes and we don't have a dishwasher. Well, we do. His name is Steve. It was our agreement when we got married that I would do the majority of the cooking and the grocery shopping, and he would wash the dishes and take out the garbage. All right, we're going to let that just kind of cook and get warm. We're going to be adding the stock in a minute, but I want to chop up my zucchini first. So I do have 2 nice zucchini here. We're going to cut off the top and the bottom of each one into the garbage bowl. We're going to slice it in half lengthwise. And then we're going to go ahead and make little half moon shapes. You want them to be about, what is that, about a half an inch, quarter of an inch thick? Otherwise, they cook too fast and get just mushy and gross in your ramen. We want them to still have some body to them when they cook. And I'm going to throw them back into my favorite red bowl. This is my favorite bowl. If anything ever happens to it, I'm going to cry. I use it for everything. So again, slice it. There's a hair. Slice it in half lengthwise. Flip them over flat side down. And then across to make little half moons. Try to get them all about the same thickness. That way they'll all cook evenly. That's a rule of thumb with any vegetable. We always want them to be about the same size. Now I'm done with the cutting board, so that can go into the sink and the big knife. Just rinsing off my hands. All right, I am using cartons of stock. I'm using chicken stock. If you wanted to make this vegetarian or vegan, you absolutely can. Just use a vegetable stock. Easy peasy. We're going to go ahead and dump in 2 quarts, which is 2 containers. Hold on, his little foil flap didn't. There we go. And if that doesn't look like enough, I may add the 3rd one. I added in a lot of vegetables, so we want a lot of broth. So we want it to be very brothy. Steph, are there any vegetables you will or won't eat? Like favorites or least favorite?
Broccoli is probably my favorite.
Yeah.
I haven't really tried like the more like bok choy and things like that as much.
Are you a scaredy eater like Steve? He'll tell me if I ask, do you, like, for instance, before I made it, do you like bok choy? And he'd be like, no. Have you ever had bok choy? No. He says no. Anytime I ask him if he likes something, whether if he hasn't had it, if he doesn't know, because he's scared.
Yeah.
I did forget about my mushrooms. I should have added them in before the broth, but that's okay. They'll be fine. For this, I just bought a variety, like a package of variety mushrooms. Sometimes I use mushrooms about half the time because Steve hates mushrooms and I love mushrooms. So sometimes I use them, sometimes I don't. Yeah, we've got a cat. I know. Stay away from the ham. That is spooky. He likes to cook. He likes that I'm a messy cook because I drop stuff.
Come on.
Come on, go on. He likes to watch me cook because I drop stuff. Sometimes it's cheese. He really likes cheese. So like I said, if you can't get bok choy or don't want to, use spinach or kale instead. If your family hates mushrooms, leave them out. Don't use them. It really is okay. I'm going to add in the third thing of stock just because this is a lot of veggies and I want there to be more liquid. If I had only bought 2 things of stock, I could have added water instead. It's fine. So we're going to add more stuff like to season it. So it's not like it's not going to have flavor. Don't use water for the whole thing though, just if you need to top off a little bit. So we're going to crank up the heat. I want to bring it to a boil so that everything cooks. That was more mushrooms than I thought it was, babe. I'm sorry. All right. I'm going to add in some salt. We like salt, so, and we are start off small. Don't add in a lot at first because you're going to taste it later. If you have to add more, you can always add more. Once you put in the salt, you can't take it out. So don't put in too much. So we're going to do that. And then some fun stuff. So I have here, we're going to start with some fish sauce. I'm going to do 3 tablespoons. We can add in more later if we want it. But for now, that's where we're going to start. 3 tablespoons of fish sauce. This is the brand I buy because it is gluten-free. It's the Kame one. Most fish sauce, I don't think I've seen one that isn't gluten-free, but you never know. So always read your ingredients. Now we're adding sriracha. I do have 2 more containers of this if I need it, because we use a lot of sriracha. I'm going to do 3 tablespoons of sriracha because we like it spicy. If your family doesn't like spicy, do less or even leave it out completely. That's fine. Okay, so that was like 1.5. So we'll do 1.5, 2.5, 3. And I use the Hoi Fong Foods because it's gluten-free. The Wegmans brand one, if you happen to live near a Wegmans, they have a gluten-free one as well. Honey, kick that towel out of your way. I had it because the floor was slippery. It had gotten wet. It was slippery. We're going to go ahead and stir that in. It already smells spicy. I love it. Where's my coffee cup that she knocked over? We are going to add in some soy sauce. I get the Kikkoman gluten-free, like the tamari soy sauce that's gluten-free. And again, like I really like soy sauce, so I'm just going to go ahead and sprinkle some in there. Use what your family likes. And we're going to taste it. You can always add more. You can't add less once it's already in there. So that's why I just did a sprinkle, and then we'll taste it. The zucchini goes in last because it's going to cook the fastest.
Kristen Marie, when you were putting salt in there, she said Steve is salty.
He is salty.
And Trevor said salt with intent.
Yes.
And Kristen said salt and battery.
I'm putting the lid on because it'll get hot faster that way. At this point, we're going to go ahead and turn on the water for our noodles because we want everything to be done at the same time. I already cooked the eggs, which I forgot to get out of the fridge. Don't let them look in the fridge. It's messy. Okay. So I made ramen eggs. So these are soft boiled eggs. So I cooked them for about 6 minutes. That way the yolks should be jammy in the middle, but the whites are fully cooked. And then I marinated them. This is 2 hours. I like to marinate them a little longer usually, but I was lazy yesterday and didn't do them. So in this jar, you don't have to do this. You can just soft boil some eggs and pop them right on top if you want. I did put in aji mirin, which is a sweet rice seasoning, and soy sauce. So there's 2/3 of a cup of the aji mirin, half a cup of soy sauce, 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, and then I put in some garlic, some ginger paste, and some red pepper flakes because we like it spicy. But you don't have to do that. And then I topped it off with cold water just to cover all the eggs. You don't have to do that. You can just soft boil some eggs and plop them on top like they did in Ponyo. I am sure that Ponyo's mom did not have those eggs marinating in the refrigerator. They were not brown enough. My hand got sticky. I'm going to salt the water for our noodles because we want to make sure that it is very salty.
Salt and battery.
Salt, salt, salt. Lots of salt for that. You want it to be salty like the ocean. Once that's boiling, then we can throw in some other stuff, let it cook. Steph, have you ever seen any Studio Ghibli movies?
I have seen one. I don't remember the name of it, but it was like a young girl. It wasn't Ponyo, and it wasn't like Kiki's Delivery Service.
You cut out there a little bit. It was Kiki's Delivery Service? It wasn't.
No,
Oh, okay.
no, it wasn't that one.
Okay. So one of my other favorites is My Neighbor Totoro. And in that one, again, food is used as a bonding moment. They're moving into this new house in the country, the 2 girls and their dad. And the neighbor woman that they call Granny comes over to help them move in and settle in. She's been cleaning the house while it was empty and trying to take care of it. And her grandson, when they're about halfway through the day, comes over and brings a cake that she had made earlier, and they all sit down and eat cake together. And I just always thought that, it's so sweet to have a neighbor like that that'll come over and bring you food that they made. It's adorable, the bonding moment, and then you're going to be friends forever because you bonded over food. We have a neighbor here, our neighbor across the alley, because we live in the city. We frequently trade food back and forth. He'll be like, "Oh, I made this huge pot of soup. Do you want a container?" Or, "Hey, I got, this big thing of apples at the market. Do you want some?" Just stuff like that. Just trading back and forth, making sure each other's okay. We bonded over food. Now he's one of our best friends.
Trevor asked, does Steve slurp louder than you?
With ramen, you're allowed to slurp. So it's okay. It's acceptable in Japanese culture to slurp your ramen, I believe. Um, but yeah, he slurps way louder than I do.
Kristen says that we may have slurping contests.
That's amazing. That's full of ice water. It's so hot in here. How do we think we're doing? Shall we look? We're gonna peek. Oh, it's steaming. She's getting there. All right, so we're not ready to cook the noodles yet, but I want to show them to you because they're gluten-free. So they're not the curly traditional ramen noodles. They're the Thai Kitchen stir-fry rice noodles. And they are gluten-free. I love these noodles. I love this brand. It's my favorite brand of rice noodles for when I want rice noodles. So they work really, really good in the ramen. My biggest recommendation is just cook what you need for right now. So like I'm gonna do 2 servings.
So there was a message that came in not being posted on YouTube or Facebook, but I saw it in my notifications from someone named Kevin. I think that would be your dad.
That's Dad.
He wants to know, because of his sugar and glucose issues, is there something you can utilize instead of the brown sugar?
Yeah, I would say so. I would say just marinate the eggs in soy sauce, water, and the seasonings then. Don't, because the mirin is sweet as well and has sugar content. So like the sugar, yeah, this has 12 grams of sugar in it. Um, so it has glucose syrup is like the main ingredient. So I would say don't use the mirin. Do a large amount of soy sauce, probably like a full bottle of soy sauce, which I believe has less. Yes, there's no sugar in this at all. There's minimal carbs. So, I mean, the very last ingredient is sugar, but it's in the list of nutrition facts. There's no sugar. So, I say go ahead and use soy sauce and some water and then the seasonings. So I would do, the red pepper, garlic, ginger. You can put anise in them. I've seen people recommend anise, but we hate anise, both of us, so we don't use that.
And he also says he figures more vegetables sliced in place of noodles.
Yeah, or if you want that noodle texture or noodle feeling, use some zucchini noodles or something like that. The zoodles. I bet those would be really good. In this, instead of zucchini, just do zoodles instead, and it would still give you the same. It wouldn't be the same flavor, but it would give you the same kind of feel. I think that would be good. Yeah, it's mainly about the broth anyway. The broth is the best part. Any other questions out there so far?
Not yet.
The flames just whoosh with the wind. They're just blowing. So I've been making this ramen and perfecting this recipe for like 2 years now, I think. You think it's about 2 years?
Yeah.
And I do all kinds of stuff on it. I use whatever meat I have left over on the top, and if I don't have any, you don't have to use any meat at all. So today we're doing ham because Ponyo style, but I've done like breaded pork cutlets. I've done just like leftover rotisserie chicken or just leftover chicken. I'm trying to think what else would be good. I bet steak, like strips of steak would be really good on it. I've just never done it that way. But I bet that would be good. You can use pretty much any veggies you want. And it's all about the contrast between the hot soup and the crunchy toppings you're going to put on top. So we're going to put on, today we're going to do bean sprouts, the green onion pieces. I have some like seaweed and sesame seed sprinkles to go on. We've got the eggs that all goes on top of the soup itself, the broth. But
Trevor wants to
anything
know
you
what
want.
your
I've seen
favorite
people.
Trevor
Go
wants to
ahead.
know what your favorite Ghibli movie is.
My favorite Ghibli movie is Howl's Moving Castle, and my second favorite is Spirited Away. Does Trevor have a favorite one? In Spirited Away, food is actually used a little bit differently because in the very beginning, when they get to the spirit world, her mom and dad, I think, oh, Chihiro, her mom and dad basically start stealing food from a booth because there's all this food cooking and there's no one around, and they're eating the food and she's saying no, we shouldn't, there's no one here, we didn't pay for it, it's not ours. And of course she's a little girl, I say she's like what, 6, 7, 8, something like that. And so she's saying no, we shouldn't. Mom and dad are like just stuffing their faces, and the food looks amazing. Like it's just this huge smorgasbord of food at this like carnival booth almost. And as they're eating, they start turning into pigs. Like they get the curly tails, and they start and like snorting and like just housing this food. And she's saying no, 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 we shouldn't. And then they turn into pigs, and she runs away. And then like I can't think of his name, the river spirit kid. Anyway, he finds her and he gives her like a rice ball because she started to turn invisible. And he's like, in order to stay in our world, you have to eat something from our world. So and she's afraid she's gonna turn into a pig, and he's like, no, they turned into pigs because they were acting like pigs, basically. But so she just eats. But again, it's sort of for her, it's a little bit of a bonding moment almost because she has to eat the food in order to stay in that world and not disappear. So it's like bonding her to that spirit world, but it was done quite differently, and
That's
I
Trevor's
enjoyed
favorite.
that. Spirited Away, yeah, I could see that
Yeah.
the art in that one. He would really appreciate all the art. Like that one has the most detail to the food and everything, in my opinion. Of the ones I've seen, I haven't seen them all yet. Princess Mononoke,
Princess Mononoke.
Momonoke, that one. That one is next on my list to watch. I haven't seen that one yet, but I've people tell me I'm gonna love it. And I didn't watch them growing up because we didn't have a TV. I grew up in a household with no TV for most of the time. And so I was an adult, and one of my best friends, Ember, was like, "Oh, they're playing, Studio Ghibli movies on the big screen, like at the movie theaters and like certain select theaters." This was like what 10 years ago, and I was like, "The what movies?" And they were like, "Oh my gosh, Bex, you have to go see." So their favorite one is My Neighbor Totoro. So I went and saw Totoro. I went and saw that one, and then I was like, "Oh, what are the other ones?" I dragged Steve and made him go see like the other ones. And it was too late. Like a bunch of them had already played in the theater for that year. But I think they do that either every year or every couple years. They play them in the theaters. And I want some year I want to go try to see them all. As many as I can.
Are they streaming?
Yes, they are streaming on Max. That's where I watch them. All right, so our water for our noodles is boiling. We aren't gonna pop them in yet. We just wanted to get it ready. We cook the noodles basically last minute because we don't want to drop them down into the hot broth because then they're gonna get mushy. And I try to reheat the leftovers, the noodles are gonna be all gross. So I'm gonna cook just enough for 2 bowls of ramen and then quick serve it up when we're ready. But that means this one should be, but that lid is hot. Should be just about ready. Oh yes, she's boiling. Let's give it a stir. Looks yummy. See how that bok choy is cooked like right down? This pot was full of bok choy, and now there's like a cup of it in there. So I don't think, I don't think that the root ends are quite, oh, they're getting there. They're soft. So at this point, I am going to dump in the zucchini. I'm trying to stay back a little bit from the flames because they are blowing out at me. There we go. We'll get that stirred in. So one of the most recent Studio Ghibli movies I just watched is, okay, it's the one about Arity that's a lot like The Borrowers. Is it just Arity? Secret Life of Arity? I think it's something like that. It's really good. It's like The Borrowers. That one I did not notice as much food for whatever reason. There just isn't much about food in that one. Unfortunately, because I really liked that movie. I loved the book The Borrowers growing up, so really liked that one. And I'm gonna add a little more water hot water to that boiling kettle because it is cooking that. It is going away a little bit. Just a cup. These are clean dishes up here, by the way. We have so many wine glasses, I just can't fit them all in the cupboard because I use them for everything I do. I put soda in them and juice because they feel fancy to me. So some of them just live on the clean dish rack all the time. Our kitchen is small.
Trevor says, so in Ponyo, the sea wizard dad reminds me of Tom Baker's Doctor Who.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he does. I think he does too. Yeah, that's true.
And Kristen asks, Secret World?
Secret World, yes. I think that's it. Yes, the Secret World of Arity, I believe it is. I like that one. I'm trying to think of the other food moments. I think I hit on all the highest ones for me. And they all feel like bonding to me, all the food. But I think that's because my family bonds over food as well. Like I come from a family where food is very important. You come over and we're like, "Are you hungry? Are you thirsty? Can I get you anything? Here, eat, eat." And so food is very important to my family. And if you come over and I offer you food and you won't eat anything, I will be offended. At least try something, eat something small. Because I get upset. Steven doesn't cook at all. So well, no, that's not true. You can make boxed macaroni and cheese, and your famous taco dip is very good. But Steven doesn't cook at all. So when I moved in, the kitchen so I just moved in with him into his apartment. So when we moved in together. So he was already living here, and the kitchen was basically an unused void of storage. Like he just had stuff in here, and it was obvious that in the fridge there was like a couple salads and condiments, and now it's just full of ingredients all the time. Steph, you said you don't cook very much, so what do you eat? What do you like? What is your favorite go-to food meal?
Um, I like Italian food like spaghetti and meatballs.
Okay, yeah. And so do you cook that? Can you cook that? That's cooking.
No, not really. I mean, I'd like to learn how to cook eventually.
It's I keep telling Steve, it really isn't
I watch a lot of
hard.
food. I watch a lot of Food Network, so I can like talk about food, but I can't
Oh
cook
hell yeah.
food.
I love all the Food Network shows. This is boiling away. I'm gonna uncover it because it is starting to boil over. Well, it's like dripping off the lid onto the flame. I'm gonna turn it down just a little bit. If I burn stuff on this pan, Steven will get mad at me because he's the one who has to wash it every time I burn stuff on the bottom. What was it I made? Oh, a few weeks ago we had a really cold weekend, and I made a crab potato corn chowder. No, yeah, that's what it was. And it burned onto the pan. Oh, it was terrible. I thought we were gonna have to throw the pot away, and get a new one because oh, it was just. And this miracle worker of a man managed to clean the whole thing.
Well, because you had the oil trick.
The vinegar.
Vinegar.
Yeah, I did. We boiled vinegar in it, and then scrub, and then more vinegar and scrub and scrub. That is the best trick. It was terrible. It was. Oh, I I was gonna give up on it. It's my favorite pot, and I was about to give up. It's getting there. Those zucchinis are starting to get soft. Let's taste our broth and see if we want to add any more.
Kristen said she'd be a terrible guest, but she knows how to boil water.
You don't have to know how to cook to be a guest on my cooking shows. You just have to be able to talk about the food. It's salty enough. And there's enough fish sauce. It's got that umami flavor. Oh, there's the spice. The spice hits on the back end. It's perfect. I do good work. I don't have to add anything. That's amazing. I love that. Yeah, it looks yummy. I wish you guys could smell it. Every time I do one of these cooking segments, I wish that I could. There's a way for me to like smell a graph and send the smell through the screen to you. It smells so good. The mushrooms cooked down too. It looked like a lot when I first dumped them in, but it doesn't look that bad anymore. Sorry, babe. Sometimes I don't put the mushrooms because he hates them.
Trevor wants to know if you've ever thought about making your own noodles.
I have. I used to make my own pasta before it was gluten free. I could do it, but now with the gluten free stuff, just doesn't. The baking and stuff like with anything with flour just isn't quite the same as what I'm used to, and it's really hard to do. It just doesn't come out. It's all crumbly. It doesn't come out quite right. I used to be able to do it all. I could make ravioli and tortellini. I could do all of the filled pastas, and now, now with the gluten free, it's much, much harder. Also, Dad, for your carb and sugars question, I was just thinking. I know they make you like mushrooms too, and I know that there is a company that makes like noodles that are like made out of mushrooms somehow, and so we might have to research that and see if we can find some of those to try in something like this. That would be pretty good in this. He would hate it, but everyone else in our family would enjoy it.
But as Kristen says, Steve is such a fun guy.
A fun guy.
See, you laughed at that. If I told it, you would have rolled your eyes and turned your head away.
It's different. It was Kristen.
else. Oh, yeah, she just talks like that. Thank you for bringing it up. She's very self-conscious about it.
I do not. Who was that?
That's Kristen.
Oh, sorry, Kristen.
Dan says, really, I love mushrooms.
I know he does, so I think that would be. Well, I'll have to see if I can find those. When I worked at a grocery store, which shall remain nameless, but I don't probably saw my name tags back there. When I worked at a grocery store, someone came through, one of the grocery people came through with samples from them, and I cooked it once before I met you.
Apparently my voice is sort of gone.
Weird. For everyone or just for Kristen?
That was Dad who said that.
Oh. Dad's just messing with you then, probably. It's Dad.
No, Kristen says the same thing.
Oh. Very weird.
And clearly she's funnier. That I'm a fun guy.
Yeah, of course. Kristen, it's not funny when you say it, because you make those dad jokes all the time.
Well, it's because they're funny. I wouldn't make the joke if it wasn't funny.
Yeah. I'm going to stab one of the zucchinis with a fork, because it's hard to tell if they're done or not. And if they're almost done, then we can cook our noodles. Let's see. Throw in our ham to get hot. Almost. Almost. We don't want to overcook them. I'm terrified I'm going to overcook the zucchini. So they get squishy, like the inside spot of them, and then, oh, it's so gross. So I'm going to drop in the ham to soak up some of the broth and get hot. This is fully cooked. It's already cooked ham. So if you only use fully cooked meats, don't drop anything raw in there at this point. You'll make yourself sick. Please. And then we're going to drop in our noodles. So we're going to guess at what 2 servings is going to be. And if you're like me, we will end up with enough to feed a family of 15. Because it's always like that with pasta. I'm just going to, just in case, I want to make sure there's enough noodles. So that was about half of the package. And I'm going to say that.
Rebecca, do you wanna try and leave and come back before you finish?
Sure.
Oh.
She wants you to log out and come back.
Okay. Yeah.
See if that fixes the
We'll do that because your voice was just distorted as well.
yours was just bad.
So I'm gonna sign right out and then we'll come right back in. Hold on. No, I'm not in the stream. How do I log out without ending the stream?
Is there a button? Or can Steph lead us?
Can you boot me out, Steph? I'm just gonna. Okay. How's our voice? Do we sound?
Right, you sound better now.
It's better now.
Yeah.
Okay, yours is, yeah, I can barely understand you now.
But if you can understand us,
That's
that's
all.
Wait, no, it's bad again.
Are you on Wi-Fi?
okay. No.
Try the Wi-Fi.
Okay. Hold on. I'm gonna actually pop out of here. Stay in. I'm gonna like pop out and totally relaunch.
I did. I had never seen ramen like this before. Um I always thought that ramen was like the kind of stuff that came out of a packet, uh like like Rebecca grew up eating. Um Ever knew how to make it before? I also I learned about the Studio Ghibli movies. I've heard of some of them, but I had never seen them.
Okay, we're back. How do we sound?
Sound better?
Can you hear us?
Hello? Are we muted?
Steph, can you hear us?
No, yeah, you're good. You're good now. You're good now.
Oh, thank
Okay,
you.
good.
Okay.
Perfect. We turned on our Wi-Fi, maybe.
Yeah.
We thought the Wi-Fi would make it worse because we've been having some internet issues, but maybe not. I'm just checking the noodles. They don't feel done yet. They're all sticky still. While we were gone, I also pulled some eggs out of the marinade. See how they're peeled eggs, and they soaked up a bunch of the marinade. It discolored them. That one must have been out a little bit. It's got a whitish streak. We're just getting ready because we want to serve and eat right away. So as soon as everything's ready, you want to serve it right up. We're getting ready. I also have some bean sprouts to go on top to add some extra crunch. They're just fresh tasting, just plain bean sprouts. Use what you like. I've seen people do jalapeno slices. You can do corn on top if you want, like corn, the kernels. Fresh peas would probably be really good, or like snow peas, like raw snow peas would be good, I think. I'm concerned about overcooking the noodles. Gluten-free noodles get so gross if you overcook them. All right, I'm gonna try to taste one and we'll see. Not quite. Almost. Very salty. Good. The reason we salt the water for pasta is because the pasta will soak up some of that salt, and we want it to have that little bit of salty flavor. That way it's not just plain noodles. Does anyone else want to throw out what their favorite Studio Ghibli movie is? We talked about mine and Trevor's. No, we're all just all here for the food, apparently. That's okay. I'm only here for the food, too. I love food. That's a line from one of my favorite movies called It's Ever After with Drew Barrymore. And in it, at the end, when they're the wicked step, it's a Cinderella story. So when the wicked stepmother and stepsisters are kind of being framed and set up, they the nice stepsister, they look at her and they're like, I would hate to think you had anything to do with this. She's like, oh no, I'm only here for the food. Because she's a heavyset girl, and they used to make fun of her going to parties and say, oh, you're only here for the food. going to be a fine line between overcooked and undercooked on these noodles. How we doing? They look nice. They're getting there.
What's what's that ladle?
Oh, this one, it's a dinosaur. See? I have a lot of nerdy kitchen stuff. I want there's a wine, like a corkscrew that's a bat. These little wings come up to like push down and pop it out. I want that. I used to have the Pastasaurus Rex, which was a green pasta scoop like that, and I melted it. Oops. I have a really bad habit of leaving the pasta scoops like on the edge of the pot like that, and I did it with that one and he melted. All right, we're gonna say these are done because I really don't want, I'd rather have them a little undercooked than overcooked. So we're gonna go drain it. Alrighty, we're gonna quick put it in our bowls. Let's see if I guessed right on the serving size. I think I did okay, actually. You definitely want it to be more broth than noodle. Don't leave the pasta set in the strainer because it will stick to it and get all gross. Now we get to put in...
And it makes cleaning the strainer a lot harder.
Sorry, babe. Now we're going to go ahead. Actually, I want to pull out the ham. We're just going to quick pull out the ham. We'll put it in the bowl. It'll make it easier for me to scoop up the broth. So I threw in 6 slices. 1, 2. We really only threw it in there to get nice and hot. I just didn't want to serve it cold from the fridge. It's leftover. It's fully cooked. Did I not? I thought there was 2 more. Oh, there's 1, 2. All right, so there's our ham. So I'm going to move all the toppings over here. It'll make it easier to just put them together and assemble. All right, so here we go. Nice big scoop of broth with all the veggies. More of just the broth. You want it to be mostly broth in here. I also don't want it to touch my thumb on the edge of the bowl because it's going to be really hot.
You got the edge hanging off the back.
I know. Get in there. You have to work kind of quickly once the noodles are done because they're going to start sticking together, as pasta always does. Now, just some broth. Okay. Oh God, that looks so good. Now we assemble. So you want it to be pretty, so we're going to put a couple slices of the ham on each one. Just a little fingerful of the bean sprouts. Add some freshness and crunch when you're eating it. Some of your green onions. knife to cut the eggs. So you can just drop these eggs down in whole. It's okay to pick them up with your chopsticks and take a bite. It's okay. But to really showcase it, you want to cut them in half and lay them on there. I got egg on your phone. I'm sorry. So we're going to pop one in whole. Now, these are cold out of the fridge. You don't want to pop these in too early. They are going to stay a little chilly, or because if you try to put them in the hot broth too early, the yolks are going to cook. They're not going to stay all jammy like that.
Oh,
That one got a little overcooked. He was a small egg.
thought we were going to eat one.
I have 2 left.
Oh.
Some of the eggs were small, so they did overcook a little bit. And then I have... Oh, I dumped it all over. I have this green sprinkling nori seaweed. We just do a little sprinkle of that on top. It looks real pretty. It is black and white sesame seeds and seaweed. And there we go. There's your ramen. It was easy. It took me an hour and I talked the whole time. It could have been a lot faster if I hadn't talked.
Steve has egg on his face.
Perfect. Any last minute questions before we go?
Doesn't look like it.
All right.
No.
Well, if you're watching this after and end up having any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments on YouTube. I do look. The recipe that I use for the eggs, like, because I use someone else's recipe for that, so I'll post a link to that in the comments. And then I'll be putting up this recipe in the comments as well, like a link to the actual recipe for the ramen this weekend. But any questions, put them in the comments or come find me. I'm Bexx from Kitchen Witch's Kitchen. You can find me on Facebook. And then I'm also Bookish Bexx and the Cats, also on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, and Twitch. So feel free, come find me. Ask me gluten-free questions. Ask me cooking questions. I'm happy, always happy to help. And remember, Otherworldly Fundraising, our weekend is last weekend in September. So September 26th through the 28th. We are super excited about the guests we have. We can't tell you yet. The official announcements haven't been made, but we can't wait to share that weekend with everybody. Steph, where can everybody find you?
My blog is pages of novels, and I'm pages _ novels on Instagram.
Perfect. I love that name. Pages of novels. All right. I hope everybody has a good night.
Good night.
Make ramen.